In this video we're doing the new makeup releases tab created by Angelica Nyqvist, so if you want to see all my answers to all those questions then keep on watching. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bettina and I'm the makeup enthusiast. In today's video I'm doing the new makeup releases tag which was created by Angelica Nyqvist. I'll leave all the questions down below and I'll also leave the link to Angelica's original video down below. If you haven't done this tag already and you have a YouTube channel, I tag you. And for all my wonderful subscribers, I hope you jump down in the comments box and let me know all your answers to the questions. So without further ado, let's jump on into the questions and talk about the makeup releases for 2019. The first question is, what mainstream releases lived up to the hype throughout the year? So my first one is the Colourpop monochromatic palettes. These had a massive amount of hype, and Colourpop has released every colour of the rainbow and now they're going back for round 2 and doing like pastel versions of the colours, so they definitely got a lot of hype. And I do think that to an extent they lived up to the hype. There's certain colour stories in the monochromatic series that I think weren't as successful, and there's certain palettes that have like pressed glitters in them that also weren't as successful. But I think on the whole collection, I think they've released, I've lost count, like over 10 palettes. 100% over 10 palettes. On the whole of the collection, I think it was a really successful release from Colourpop and I do think it lived up to the hype. The next one is probably one that didn't really get all that much hype, but it is the Hourglass blush quad that was released for Christmas. You guys know that I really like this palette. I've been banging on about this palette since I got it. I for one wasn't a massive fan of the packaging, but I will say now that I have the palette in person, it's not as bad as I thought it would be and I don't mind it all that much. I do agree that it does look quite cheap compared to the Hourglass prices, but I do think it's a really good palette. I love the Hourglass blush formula and I'm really glad that I picked it up, so I think that one lived up to the hype as well. The next one is what indie makeup releases lived up to the hype through the year. The first one is obviously my beloved Kaleidos makeup eyeshadow palettes. I love those things to death. I think they are some of the best palettes that came out in 2019. And Kaleidos was on like no one's radar, and then they released these Futurism palettes, the first 3 in the collection, and they just blew up. Those palettes are beautiful and I am so glad that Kaleidos are on everyone's radar because they definitely deserve the attention because their formula is great. It's just on point and their whole brand aesthetic, I just love how it is all in keeping with the brand aesthetic and what the brand is all about. Everything is like galaxy, futurism, like sci-fi related, and I love that about it. My next one is the Clionadh multi-chrome eyeshadows. I haven't personally tried any of these, but from everything that I've heard, I don't think I've heard a single bad thing about the Clionadh eyeshadows, so I think that these guys have 100% lived up to the hype, and I know that these eyeshadows since they were released have sold out over and over and over and over again. Like, it has been ridiculous the amount of times that these eyeshadows have sold out since they released, and I just think it's amazing that a small indie brand like Clionadh, I think it's like 2 sisters or 2 friends that started it, and now that they've grown so much, they're moving to a new facility where they're able to hire more staff. I just think it's really great to see smaller indie brands grow because there's more opportunity for jobs in like regional areas. That's usually where indie brands are. They're usually small family-owned businesses, so I think it's really great to see small businesses grow and have that opportunity to hire more staff, to grow their business and really improve their products and their shipping times and get the products out quicker and faster and just go from strength to strength. I love seeing it. The next one is the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star palette. I don't know whether this palette is exactly the best palette, but I do think after all the build up of the Shane Dawson palette, the documentary or the docu-series, whatever you want to call it, the 6-part YouTube videos that were like 3 hours long each, I think after all the build up and everything that they put into this palette, I think it was a highly successful palette release. They sold out. globally. They've sold like the most amount of makeup in a very long time in one release. So I think that this was a very successful release. I personally wasn't really drawn to the palette all that much, so I didn't purchase any of it. But I do think that it was probably one of the most successful makeup releases in a very long time. And my last one on here is the Glamonatrix Cosmetics Sandra Rose palette. This palette was being sneak peeked for quite a while and I decided to purchase it. It was the first palette from Glamonatrix Cosmetics. All their other products were single eyeshadows. I think that this eyeshadow palette is really unique. I think it's really beautiful. I love the Glamonatrix Cosmetics formula, and I think that she has sold out twice now, or she has done a pre-order. She has listed it for pre-order a further, I think it was 2 or 3 times. I think she might be onto her 3rd time since she has released the palette. So I think that for indie brands, the Glamonatrix Cosmetics eyeshadow palette definitely lived up to the formula, and some of those colours in that eyeshadow palette are absolutely beautiful and super unique as well. I think that's one thing that you get from indie brands like Cleona, Kaleidos, Glamonatrix Cosmetics. All those indie brands are like super unique colours and they're bringing something new to the market, which I really, really enjoy. The next question is, which makeup releases didn't live up to the hype? Now, there's 2 probably main ones that there's definitely one main one that you guys will 100% know and will probably 100% be on everyone's list. So we'll get that out of the way first, and that is the Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics lipsticks. Epic fail in terms of this makeup release. It probably is one of the most disastrous releases of all time in the makeup industry. Just the way it was gone about, the way it was handled, everyone has just really, really lost respect and trust for Jaclyn Hill. So I think it's going to be quite a slow and hard process for her to gain that trust back, other than obviously those diehard fans that will buy anything and believe anything that she says. But I think for the general consumer, they will be very, very cautious of everything that she releases from here on out now. The next is the Lady Gaga brand House Laboratories. Yeah, so House Laboratories' first few releases were quite disappointing. Everyone knows Lady Gaga to be an absolutely fabulously beautiful, amazing, creative woman. And she released a very subpar, I think almost boring line of makeup to begin with. I think that she should have really gone out with a big bang for her first releases. We've since seen an eyeshadow palette from her which looks pretty, but it's not anything special. The red lipstick looks really nice, but it's all very basic. Like the liquid eyeshadows and everything like that, it wasn't really anything new to the market. The colours weren't anything new, so very disappointed from Lady Gaga on that front, as well as the fact that it is an Amazon exclusive line as well. I think that's a little bit subpar. My last one on this list, which pains me to say, is the Be Perfect and Stacey Marie XL palette. Now, hear me out about this. I absolutely love my Stacey Marie Be Perfect Carnival palette. It's one of my favourite palettes at the moment. I was really disappointed in this because they announced that they were going to be collabing again. Everyone was over the moon because the first palette was so good, but everyone's comments and concerns on the first palette was just the packaging was so big, the palette was so big, it was so bulky, it was just terribly, I don't want to say terribly designed because I feel like that reflects badly on Stacey Marie, but in a way that's what it was. Like the really thick chunky packaging, the palette, everyone said it was way too large. So based on that, they decided in round 2 to make the palette even bigger again. And then on top of that, there was I think a total of 9 or 10 eyeshadow shade double ups between volume 1 and the extra large palette. So putting all that together, making the palette extra large and doubling up on eyeshadows, those are the 2 main reasons why I didn't end up buying round 2, and I know that was a lot of the same reasons why other people didn't buy round 2 of this collaboration. That is why it made it onto my didn't live up to the hype list because I was so excited to see what round 2 would entail for the collaboration, and it was just bigger than the first palette when everyone was complaining about how big and bulky the first one was. Like, they didn't even listen to their consumers and the feedback they were getting from their consumers, which is quite disappointing. Question number 4 is the biggest curveballs for 2019. So I have quite a few on this list, some good, some bad, some very ugly. So the first one is the Urban Decay and Game of Thrones collection. Everyone was so excited about this and they were really hyping it up. They were doing beautiful looks for the pre-launch on their Instagram. They were posting like all the marketing photos and they were absolutely beautiful and stunning. And then when they released it, what a massive curveball. No one was expecting to see what was released, and it was quite a fail. It was so bad what they decided to release. It was so poorly thought out. It was really disappointing. Being such a massive Game of Thrones fan like I am, I was extremely disappointed by it. On top of that was the epic fail by Mecca Australia when it came to the release dates for the Game of Thrones collection. There were a lot of very angry people around Australia and New Zealand at Mecca Australia because of the total shitstorm with the release times and whatnot. So on all those fronts, it was a curveball and it was a fail. The next curveball is the Jaclyn Hill highlighter collection. Now, I don't think any of us predicted that she would be releasing another collection before Christmas. I guess we would have assumed she was going to release something at some point to try and recoup some costs, but I don't think anyone predicted that Jaclyn Hill would be releasing another collection before Christmas based on how bad the lipstick launch went down. I think a lot of people were, I don't know, not hoping that she would go away, but maybe waited until the dust settled a little bit more than she did. And I've heard, don't quote me on this, but I have heard that some people still haven't gotten their refunds for the lipsticks, so maybe she should have completely sorted that out before releasing this. Next is the situation with Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, where they've decided to swap out the green shade in the palette in the mini controversy. They've booted one of the colors out of there and they're putting in that green color that they decided to take out in the docu-series. So based on like global demand by their consumers that wanted the green shade back in, they have swapped one of the colors out and decided to put that green color in there. So that being a curveball in itself, but Jeffree Star has also decided to release it in a single, which we did not see coming from his brand, so that was a bit of a curveball, and I guess it was also a really good segue for him to be able to start releasing the single eyeshadows that he was planning on doing sometime in the new year. Question number 5 is, what was the biggest letdown or snooze fest of 2019? First of all, probably another thing that's going to be on everyone's list is the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palettes. Enough said. If any of you have been in any of my lives this year, you would have heard all my gripes about those palettes. It's always the same comments every single time. The empty space in there, the wasted space, the giant highlighter in the middle that's not used, the colors just don't work with each other. Very disappointing collection across the board with those Zodiac palettes. Next is the this is on my disappointment list for the reason that it is quite obviously and quite purely a cash grab, and that is the Morphe and James Charles mini James Charles palette. I don't know what the hell he called it, but the mini James Charles palette. Do I need to say any more? Do I need to say any more? Massive letdown. Well, not even a letdown, just really disappointed. Like really disappointing. such a cash grab. The next one is the Melt Radioactive palette, and this is on the list because they essentially took the radioactive stack, put it in a palette, and then added a couple of shades. So for that reason, it was a little bit of a letdown for all those people that are so loyal to Melt and buy everything that they sell, that they already essentially had half of the palette and we're only getting an extra 2 or 3 shades. So it was a really big disappointment and a big letdown to see them go that way instead of releasing a palette with all brand new shades. Number 6 is the best holiday releases for this year. Now I have 3 things on this list. I'm going to mention my beloved Hourglass blush cardigan as well as the lipsticks. I absolutely love the Confession lipsticks and I get the Confession lipstick packs every single year. It is one of my all-time favorite lipstick formulas, so definitely Hourglass this year hit it for me. The Lunar Beauty holiday release being that it was more a Halloween related holiday collection rather than being very like Santa wintry focused. I really appreciated that it was more unique this year with his holiday releases rather than just being very consumer-esque Christmas based, like red and white packaging. Really appreciate that. And the number one best release, I think, which I still am really interested in trying, I actually added these to my Christmas wish list because I really want these palettes, is the Melt Holiday Collection. Now this is the Amor Eterno collection, so this is the Vida palette and their Muerte palette. I want both of these. These palettes are absolutely beautiful. The artistry on the palette is absolutely stunning. The colours inside are very beautiful and I think the colour stories are very unique to my collection. So that's why they're on this list, because I think they did an amazing job. I think on a whole, all round, I really respect this collection from Melt. I don't usually say that about Melt. Anyone that's been here for a long time knows how I feel about Melt. I think this collection, it gets my respect based on why it was designed. One of the owners has a Mexican heritage, so she's like designed the whole collection around like her childhood and different holidays that they would celebrate when she was a child. And then a lot of the cardboards are like laser cut and have the color coming through, and it's just so well done, so beautifully done. The design, the artwork on the packaging is just stunning. So I think it's beautiful. It is very expensive. I've mentioned this many times. It's very expensive, but I think it's very well done. It's stunning and I really want both of the palettes. I can't help it. I really want both. They're beautiful. The last question is my predictions for 2020. Now, I'm very bad at predicting things. I don't think maybe I did. Hit a few things on the head with my predictions video from last year. I think I may make another video this year of my predictions for 2020, so I'm not going to mention too much in this segment of this video because I may just leave it for a full-on like predictions video sometime later in December. So I'm just going to mention 2 things. I think that there is going to be still the craze of smaller palettes, so like 6-pan, 9-pan palettes, even larger numbers of eyeshadows but in smaller packaging. I think that's still going to continue to be very popular and a big craze that brands are going to continue, particularly brands that haven't really touched on that yet. I think based on how popular like the palettes for Colourpop have been, I think a lot of brands are going to jump on the bandwagon of the smaller palettes, and Kaleidos as well. Like all their eyeshadow palettes are 6 pans. So there's that, and then I think there's still going to be a lot more celebrities coming out with brands in the new year as well. I think that like makeup brands for celebrities are like the new celebrity perfume, which is, I don't know, it kind of like bastardizes the industry a little bit, which is very disappointing when it's quite obviously a cash grab for them, and a lot of them have no idea about makeup and don't really know what they're doing, but they definitely know that there's some money here to be made, so they are just trying to ride the wave. So yeah, I think we're going to see more celebrities in the new year coming out with makeup brands. That's it for this video. Make sure you let me know down in the comments box all your answers to the questions. I would love to know what your favorite releases were, what releases you thought lived up to the hype, and all that jazz. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and also if you love videos like this, I hope you would consider subscribing down below so you can see more in the future. That's it for this video, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you want to see some more videos with my face in it, I will leave some on the screen for you right now. Otherwise, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.